Okay, so let's talk about upcoming horror films that we are definitely anticipating for. This is the first episode. Call it the pilot because we don't know if this is our format we're going to be using. But this is the pilot for don't listen to this at 3 a.m. because y'all don't want to do that, right? So this is our podcast we're going to be running twice a week until we get to spooky season, which will be, of course, Halloween time. And today's first episode, I thought we'd definitely look what is coming next for horror in 2022. I think 2022 definitely has been an amazing year for horror, right? We had Scream, we had X, and Nope, and now we're going into the next phase of horror. Now, of course, there's a lot more horror films that came out in 2022, but we're just discussing some of the major releases here today, so definitely something that I am interested in doing. So this week we have a ton of those coming, but like I said, wherever you're listening, watching us, make sure that you are following us. This is the new podcast we're doing. Like I said, going into spooky season, we want to be doing this twice a week. And yeah, if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube channel, all of that, make sure you're following us everywhere. YouTube is our main channel, but anywhere else you want to listen to us, definitely open to that. And I'm just here to see how this first episode goes. So yeah, let's get right into this. So this week is a big week, and let me tell you why. We have 3 major movies in the horror genre. Now, the second one that I'm about to talk about could definitely be either action, horror, thriller. It's kind of not an easy pick for me, but that's definitely going to be Prey. Prey is a movie. I'm not sure where it falls. In my honest opinion, it goes under horror because this is a monster that's attacking people, and I'm pretty sure there's jump scares. So that for me is a horror film. Let me know what y'all think about that. Like, do y'all consider the original Predator a horror film or an action film? I consider it both a horror action, but that's just my opinion. I really do see where people can just distinguish it as one thing or the other, but I think Predator has become sort of a big thing in the horror genre as well, but it is also a very much so action film, especially with Arnold Schwarzenegger being in it. But it's a tricky one, right? Because there is that like way you could kind of see it as being both sides of things, right? But nonetheless, Prey comes out this weekend on Hulu, and I'm excited about this one so much. I actually got a chance to go see this one. Well, I didn't get to see it, but I saw the trailer. I know what you're talking about, like I already got a premiere and everything for it. Hey Hulu, if you're listening, I didn't get a screener for this, but no problem. How about the next one? But no, in all seriousness, I did get a chance to see this trailer on the big screen when I went to Compalooza a couple of weeks ago here in Texas, and I was very much so excited for this one. I thought it was such a great looking film, and I was excited to see what we are going to get from this. And now that we're here and just a couple of days from release, I'm excited to see it in all its glory. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they further develop this story of this creature. We haven't had a Predator movie we did have a Predator film not a couple of years ago, actually. Let me look it up because I almost forgot about that movie. So the last Predator movie that we got was in 2018. Yeah, 2018, The Predator. That was the name of that film. And that was actually had a pretty good cast. We had Olivia Munn, Boyd Holbrook, and Jacob Tremblay. And it was directed by Shane Black. I need to go back and rewatch that because I almost forgot about that one. The reception for it was sort of a dud. So it actually has an equal score on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and audience. So I definitely see why we got another Predator movie now. But this one's from Dan Trachtenberg, who I feel has such a very good, solid run. He is responsible for Cloverfield Lane, 10 Lane, I can't even talk. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was such a good film, and I'm excited to see this one because I think he definitely knows how to do this tension build-up, and the Prey movie just looks like pure build-up upon build-up upon build-up, and I'm excited to check it out. So that's definitely one of my most anticipated horror films coming up next. Now the next film we have also is going to be They Them. They Them is interesting. Kevin Bacon's in it. It's going to be on Peacock. I'm not sure if we're going to get a release anywhere else, right? On theaters or all of that. So I don't know. The current reviews for it aren't looking too hot, but I'm still anticipating it just from the premise and everything about it. So we will have this premiere on Peacock, so you can catch it on streaming. John Logan is directing this. Let's see what John Logan has directed, right? So I think he hasn't really directed anything. He's been a writer for Alien Covenant. We did see him be a writer as well on Skyfall. We do have him being a writer as well on Rango. So he's been a writer in a lot of stuff, and I think this is his first time directing. And that's the only reason I'm excited, because I think he's written for some very good films. But we'll see how this one does, right? They, them. We do have Bodies releasing in some areas, and I think it goes for a wider release next week. This one's definitely my most anticipated film of the month, and I'm excited to see what exactly we're going to be getting from this. I think Bodies looks less like so much fun, and the first trailer alone really gave me those vibes of this is just a fun horror film. You know, those horror films where you're not expecting an elevated horror movie or to be taught some lesson or something. You just want to go for a good horror time and just see what this whodunit slasher film is going to be about. And just the positive reviews I've been seeing get me more excited for this film as we're heading along this movie for sure. So definitely one I'm looking forward to is Bodies. I might catch it a little bit earlier, so hopefully, fingers crossed, and we'll have some videos and all of that for sure. So y'all don't want to miss out on that. Make sure you're following me for that. But anyways, those are pretty much this week, and let's move on as we go ahead further into the month. We will have Orphan First Kill, which will release on Paramount Plus. Now this one is a little tricky. How do I feel about Orphan First Kill? On one hand, I was excited that Orphan was getting a sequel. On another hand, I thought it was a little too late. I think this film came out about 12 years ago, and we're barely getting that sequel now. And I think that is something that shouldn't have happened for that long. I feel like they missed an opportunity and they see it now, but they want to do it again. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. The trailer was exciting, I will say that, because it's definitely a interesting premise to bring up again and definitely explore. But the fact that they are bringing the same actress, some of the shots she does look like they are trying to make her younger. Other shots she just looks her age. So I'm interested in seeing how this film is going to do overall. And I'm excited nonetheless, like I said, but still I'm a little not really putting my hopes up there. Like, the bar is low for me, so hopefully I'll be impressed, right? So that is Orphan First Kill, August 19th. Okay, so I have the list here actually, so I'm just reading and trying to get all of this. Now there is a film as well that I'm looking forward to that I just saw a trailer for, of course, and that is going to be Beast. Now Beast is another film. I don't know, how do we put it, right? Do we say that this is a film that is a action or it's a horror? I kind of saw this as Cujo, and Cujo I always put it as a horror film, so it's kind of reminding me of Cujo, so I'm gonna say, yeah, this is a horror film, right? So that's where I see this one for sure. And this one I'm excited for as well. Idris Elba definitely looks like he is going to deliver a standout performance, and I'm excited to see how this film is resolved by the end of it. You got this giant tiger lion, I forgot what it was, just pretty much stalking its prey, and they got to get out of here. So definitely excited to see that what this is going to be like, right? Okay, so next film on the line we have as well is we're going to talk about, and I lost my place right here. I had like all together. The Invitation. The Invitation is another film that looks interesting. I'm not sure if the title itself is going to be good, because there is another film called The Invitation that is really good. And so I don't know how I feel about this, but vampires are back. I've talked about this before already. Vampires are definitely in again. It looks like after the whole Twilight fiasco and everything, vampires kind of went into some seclusion. We got a couple of things here and there, but now it looks like full throttle because we have a ton of stuff coming out. We even have Marvel dabbling with vampires with Blade, so that's interesting to hear, and I'm excited for this for sure. We have Barbarian as well as another film that we have on the way, which sounds amazing, and definitely the first trailer looks interesting for sure. We have Justin Long returning, who I think does a great job in horror. Bill Skarsgård, of course, a horror icon now with his portrayal of Pennywise, and Georgina Campbell starring in this as well. So this one looks interesting. I feel like I shouldn't watch another trailer because I feel like that first trailer kind of gave some things away that maybe I should have waited for. but I'm definitely anticipating this one to be such a good film, and hopefully those twists and turns do pay off in the end, right? So, I mean, there we go. We've already gone 10 minutes in talking about what we're getting for horror, and we're just getting into September. So, like I said, there's a ton of stuff coming, and I'm excited for everything. Now, here's one of my most anticipated films of the year, besides, like, transcending horror and all of that, and that is going to be Ty West's follow-up to X. This is actually going to be a prequel to that, starring Mia Goth as Pearl, the old woman we saw in X, and we just got the trailer recently for this, and this already looks great. I'm excited for this one, and like I said, it's probably my most anticipated horror, right next to Bodies, Bodies, Bodies this year, and I definitely think that this is going to really put, like, this whole, like, thing with Mia Goth on another level. I really think this is her breakout role, just as X was for Jenna Ortega. I think that kind of overshadowed her in that part of the film. I think that this movie Pearl is going to do it for her, because we still have another film in this trilogy that will also star Mia Goth. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one does. As I said, most anticipated right behind Bodies, 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 but still one of my most anticipated for sure. What do you think about Pearl? We also have Smile on the way. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure how I feel about just yet. This one's definitely feeling like a classic 2012 through 2018 type horror film, and like it gives me those vibes of all those horror films that came out in that time. But I'm still interested in seeing how this curse works and all of that. Like, I definitely am a sucker for things like that, so that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to for sure. This next one is one I didn't see coming until just like a couple days ago, and that is the Goodnight Mommy remake. I didn't ever expect them to do a Goodnight Mommy remake. Hadn't heard about a Goodnight Mommy remake, but here we are. We are getting a Goodnight Mommy remake with Naomi Watts, apparently, and we're going to be seeing this whole thing be on Amazon Studios. It's coming straight to Amazon Prime, so you'll be able to catch this for sure there. And I don't know how I feel about this one. I feel like once you've seen it, so it's kind of interesting how it's going to do once it's out for sure. But like I said, this one is an interesting one. Goodnight Mommy. We know how this one goes if you've watched it, so did we need this remake? What difference is it going to make? That's my question. So hopefully it does make such a good difference that it's worth it, but I don't know how I feel about it, right? Then we also do have another film with Justin Long, which sounds interesting to me, and that is House of Darkness. I'm not too sure about this one, what's going on. I'm not really wanting to get into it. I just really want to watch a lot of these movies without watching a trailer, so this one's another one that's definitely going to be interesting to see how it does, right? Of course, coming into October, we have the classic that everybody's anticipating for sure, and I think is in most general audience's mind, and that is going to be Halloween Ends. This is going to be the end of the Halloween trilogy that was started back in 2018, and I'm excited for this one, but not as excited as I am compared to the other films we're getting, as well as spooky season, because it's a good time for horror this year. I've said it at the beginning of the year, and I'll say it again. A ton of the stuff we're getting here is definitely top tier, and I'm excited to see how this year is going to go once it's all said and done, right? So, Halloween Ends being that movie that comes out is kind of overshadowed by all of that. Even though it's the conclusion to it all, I feel like there's a lot more stronger contenders coming out, and I'm just interested in seeing how this comes to an end, though, however. We then have Pray for the Devil. This movie I think was supposed to come out a while ago, but it kept getting pushed and pushed. It coming out the weekend of Halloween definitely makes me excited that they have a lot of faith in this movie. So I'm expecting this to be pretty good, hopefully. But other than that, I'm not sure how I feel about it, right? I definitely do think that exorcism movies are interesting. I do like what they do sometimes with them. They make them stand out, but most of the time it can be hard to get out of that whole feeling of we've seen this, we've done this already. Did we really need another Exorcist type movie? So hopefully they're able to do something different with this one, where it feels so much different that we are definitely excited for it, right? So that's definitely something I'm interested in, as well as seeing how this film will do once it's released, and we'll just have to wait and see, right, if it does it or doesn't. Now, some other films we're not sure exactly when we are getting, but we've heard we were supposed to be getting this year, and we'll talk about them as well, are going to be films such as Hellraiser. Hellraiser was supposed to be coming out, I believe, on Amazon, and it hasn't given us much yet. We don't know exactly where are we getting or when are we getting a trailer, a first look, or anything like that. So that's definitely something that has me a little bit worried about what exactly is going on with this film, because I was very much so excited for it when we first heard about it, but now we're not too sure exactly when we're getting that. Another one, of course, is Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I don't know why I said it like that. Jeepers Creepers Reborn, which I was expecting to hear something about it pretty soon, but as I said, nothing yet on that either. So we're not entirely sure when we're gonna get that either as well. So yeah, there's a lot here that we're anticipating, but not really sure about when we're getting. And one of the other ones as well is Evil Dead Rise, which just sounds amazing, but we still don't have a release date or anything for that. So we're just here anticipating. We're getting closer to that spooky season, and we're definitely waiting for all of this to be sort of laid out on us. Like, give us the dates and everything. Today we heard that American Horror Story Season 11 will be releasing in the fall. I mean, I'm anticipating that for a September release for sure, but it would have been nice to know on a date, right? And speaking of horror shows as we also have Chucky Season 2, which is going to be coming out in October, and that one just looks good. If you haven't watched the first Chucky season, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Chucky movies and all of that. I think that they did such an amazing job with him, and I'm excited to see this new story, especially now that we have Glenda returning to the mix of things. It's going to be interesting to see how they pretty much bring all of these characters together, but I'm pretty sure Don Mancini has got it down, because I think he had it down for sure in the show as well. So now that we're moving on to the horror shows, I definitely want to talk about Interview with a Vampire, which just looks amazing. So I saw the trailer when I was watching the Better Call Saul show the other time, and they just played this trailer, and I was just like, I need this show already, because it was just very much so well done, and just the feel of it and look and all of that is just on another level. So I'm definitely excited for this one here. We do have the Cabinet of Curiosities that is sort of being done by Guillermo del Toro, and it has a ton of other talented directors and actors in it as well. I'm not too sure what to expect from this one, but I'm definitely excited for it as we get closer to it as well. We have the Midnight Club as well coming to us, which I think is going to be the Midnight Mass of last year. Midnight Mass, of course, being the sleeper hit, in my opinion, of last year, and as well created by Mike Flanagan. We have the Midnight Club, and I've seen the first trailer. All of that looks great, so I'm excited for that, and definitely cannot wait to see how we get this show for sure. We have Wednesday Addams, the show as well, another show that should be coming out around September, October, all of that. This one's exciting. I think Jenna Ortega is definitely the screen queen of this generation, and I do expect a lot from the show, and I'm expecting something great to be done with it as well. So super pumped to see the show once it is released in Netflix, and I'm excited for it as well. So other shows that we have heard about, but we're not sure if we're getting this year for sure, is Welcome to Derry. Welcome to Derry, I'm expecting to come out sometime next year, as well as Alien. We've heard that that is coming out next year, as they just barely started working on it and just have the scripts done and all of that. So, like I said, it's such a great year for horror. We just spent the last 20 minutes running down all of them here. We'll spend another couple of minutes just talking about them, all of that. Like I've said, I am excited for a ton of these movies, a ton of these shows, and I will be covering them all here on the podcast, but we'll also be covering them on our YouTube channel, doing any explains, talking about scenes, symbolisms, analysis, all of that. So don't miss out on any of that by going to our YouTube channel. Culture Elixir is that channel where we'll talk all about that. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for all of these releases. Like I said, They, Them, Prey, and as well Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. All will have videos out by this Friday on YouTube, and we'll also talk about them on the Friday show of this podcast that we'll do, and just discuss everything about them as well. So I'm excited for all of this. There's a ton of content coming our way from horror, and I said at the beginning of the year and the beginning of this podcast that this is definitely the year of horror for sure. Like, everything that's coming out, that's being announced and all of that, just gets you more and more excited for what's to come. So definitely such an amazing year for sure, and I cannot wait to see where we go from here, because I think the genre was very much so stale, like I said, in that sort of post Conjuring universe timeline, and also the whole thing with the found footage. there's a ton of stuff from horror that's coming to us that feels fresh again. BHS, I forgot to mention BHS coming out October 20th, I believe, is definitely sounding so good. BHS 99, I've talked about the BHS 94 already. Go check out that video if you want. But BHS 99 as well. It's bringing found footage back. It really is. It feels fresh again. It doesn't feel stale. It doesn't feel like it's just regurgitated to do the whole trend again and try to be that number one spot. It feels like they are really trying to be as passionate as possible with it, and I'm here for it. I'm here to see what exactly they're going to give us, and I'm excited all the way through. So like I said, great year for horror, a ton of stuff on the way, and we'll be covering it all here throughout. As I said, this podcast season will run until October 31st, where we're just going to focus on horror for the 2 episodes we do every week. It'll be a 32 episode run, and that's pretty much what we're going to talk about. So we'll have different topics, different like segments, all of that. Hopefully we can get guests. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that. I do have some YouTubers and people online that I would love to have on here just talking about horror. If y'all have any, drop them below. I'd be interested in knowing. But if we don't have guests, it's fine. We'll definitely make it work for sure. And it'll just be fun. We'll probably do a live one of these, maybe twice or 3 times a month. We'll see for sure. I'll try to plan it out, maybe where people can come on, or maybe just submit questions, things like that. I think that'd be cool to do just once a month, do a live one of these where everybody's like participating and just discussing horror stuff. But like I said, the next one we do, which will be on Friday, we're talking Prey, we're talking bodies, they, them. So it's a jam-packed episode. We're going to discuss all 3 of those movies. I'm going to try and get to catch all of them by that Friday night, so we can do that Friday night. So definitely will be interesting. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions on this first episode. What would you like to see? I already have a couple of topics I'm going to talk about surrounding horror in the coming episodes. But I am always interested in knowing what else y'all would love to see. Like, I have an 80s episode coming up, a 90s episode, early 2000s, slashers, things like that. So I already got a ton of things planned for us that we're going to discuss. But if y'all want some other topics as well, definitely leave them below. We'll do a community post maybe where we'll talk about a certain subject. We can talk about horror movies and all of that. So stay tuned for that. But as always, that's going to do it for us. This was our first episode, first pilot, all of that. It's just me right now. Hopefully we'll change that. If not, I hope y'all don't get bored of me. But let's keep it going by hitting that subscribe button wherever you're listening. Following us on Twitter, Cultural Elixir. That's always the best way to keep in touch, as well as our YouTube channel, Cultural Elixir, the same thing. We do have an Instagram. It's the Cultural Elixir over there. Our TikTok as well. And maybe we'll put this up as clips throughout, so you'll probably be seeing me a lot. We're gonna try and take over, and definitely on our way on our YouTube channel to 25,000 subscribers is our goal. We will do a giveaway over there as well, and we'll probably do a giveaway on this podcast once a month, so stay tuned for that. We'll be talking more about that probably on Friday. I'll discuss how that will work for the month of August. And yeah, that's gonna do it for me. As always, let me know what's your most anticipated horror film of 2022, and what is your wish list for 2023. We have a ton of stuff to talk about that, but we'll be save that for another episode as we learn about the projects that come next year, which are just outstanding as well. But as always, that is going to do it for us. If you haven't already, check out all our other videos. And this is not sponsored by anybody. Let's just say it's sponsored by us. So go ahead and go to our YouTube channel, go to our website, culturalelixir.com. Check out all our stuff over there. But as always, that's going to do it for us. Stay safe, stay positive, y'all.